Today's special, Byron and his leap of faith. The doctor's office felt like a precipice of the world. Byron sat there in the news of his prostate cancer diagnosis, feeling like a strong wind whipping at his face. Below, his life stretched out in a familiar tapestry of routine and health, a world he had grown comfortable in. For as long as he could remember, he had dreamed of a long, healthy life, of the feeling of gliding through his golden years. But now, here he was, on the very edge of uncertain future. And a knot of doubt tightened in his stomach. Did he really have the strength to face this? Or had the idea of a life free of illness been more compelling than the reality of fighting for it? This was the moment of the final leap, the point where so many fell short. He had heard the stories of others, men who had received similar news with fierce determination, only to freeze at the last moment, unable to take that leap, that final step in the treatment. They had wanted the idea of survival, but not the act of fighting for it. And those who did jump into the fight, what happened to them? Some soared through their treatments, finding a rhythm with their doctors and their bodies, and others, those seemed to lose their way, not knowing what to do with it, with the freedom from the cancer that they had sought. They tumbled back into old habits, and the weight of their own expectations was too heavy for them to carry. But Byron was different, or at least he desperately wanted to be. He closed his eyes, picturing the view. He knew what was waiting for him. The sun always shining above the clouds of uncertainty, and a golden world of remission and recovery. He knew the journey would be a long one, a slow build of momentum through biopsies, surgeries, and radiation to get to a point of healing. But once he left the ground of his diagnosis and started treatment, he wouldn't have to fight so hard against the fear. He could glide, carried by the very force of medical expertise and personal resolve that he had spent so long building. This reminded him of a passage from Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on the wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. He thought of the support group that he had joined, men who flew together in a perfect V formation, the lead man shouldering the burden of a new treatment or side effect eventually gives way and allows another one to share their experience. There was no argument, no jealousy over who was more sick, just a shared purpose of navigating their journey. They all knew there was enough hope for every one of them. This was a true secret to healing. Not just the act of fighting alone, but the understanding that there was plenty of room at the top. Plenty of room at the top of the mountain of recovery for all who had the courage to get there. He found comfort in Romans 12, verse 10, which states, "Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves." Taking a deep breath, Byron opened his eyes. The fear was still there, but it was a small thing now, dwarfed by a growing sense of purpose. He would not let the doubt, the jealousy of others' health, or the fear of the unknown hold him back. He would not lose his view of a healthy future because of a few cloudy days or side effects that got in his way. With a powerful surge of will, he took that final exhilarating leap into his treatment plan, trusting in the words of Philippians 4, verse 13, "I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me." He was falling, then gliding, then truly flying through his recovery. The rush of each day of progress was a song, and the fears of the past were a distant whisper. It was everything he had imagined and more. He had found his strength, built his momentum, and taken the leap of faith in himself and his doctors. And he looked up at the endless expanse of a life still to be lived. He knew he was going to go the distance, and then some. He was reminded of the promise in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future."